We're here on Dance Brain, where we talk about the beauty of partner dancing, and today I'm here with Jalen. Hello, Jalen.
How's it going, everyone? What's going on, Jason?
Good to see you.
Right back at you,
Thanks
brother.
for doing this.
Of course.
So, Jalen, tell our audience, when did you first started dancing?
Ooh, so I started back in 2018. Probably like mid 2018. It's actually a nice, funny little story. So I was acting at the time.
Oh.
And yeah, I was like, you know, I want to say that I gave it a shot. I don't want to come back 20 years from now and say I never tried it. I don't want to live with the regret that I never gave it a shot. So I was acting at the time. I have a cousin on my mom's side who is a Juilliard graduate. So like I went through him and was working through all this stuff, and he was helping me out. It was his birthday party. He was having a party in downtown LA. And I went and I had a few drinks at the birthday party, as you do. And I met this lovely lady, and we were dancing. There was music playing. We started dancing, having a good time. We exchanged information at the end of the night, and she goes, "You're a really good dancer. Like, you should come with me to this dance class sometime." And I was like, "Oh, okay. That sounds fun." And I'm like, okay. So we exchanged our information, find out it's a Sunday night. There's a bar at the time in Burbank called Joe's Great American Bar and Grill.
Yes.
So I had never heard of this place at this point in time. But she invites me out to Joe's, and I'm thinking that this is a date. I'm like, yeah, you invite me to this dance class. We're going to go out. This is a cool little date. It's going to be great. I show up to this bar. It was first thing I noticed when I walk in, it was the whitest bar I'd ever been to. I think there was one other black person in the entire place. I was like, oh, okay, I see what I'm getting myself into. I grab a drink, I'm looking for the group, and I find her, and I'm like, oh, wait, this is not a date. She's here with a full group of people to dance with. Very quickly, I'm like, okay, well, I'm already here. I got my drink. I guess I'm just going to do the thing. She was teaching a blues lesson at the bar. So she was the teacher, and I ended up taking the lesson there, and it was fun. I was like, wow, this was a lot of fun. I never really like experienced anything like this before. And just being out there, I didn't have anything to do on Sunday, and it was like a recurring Sunday thing. So after I went and I had a good time that week, I just started to go back. And I went for maybe a month or two straight, and then I slowly started finding out about other dance events that were going on in the LA area. So I think some of the first things I heard about was LindyGroove, because, you know, that was the big weekly. And at the time, we had quite a few monthly blues dances as well. I think there was Blues Liberation Front, Do Something Blue, and one that I'm missing right now name-wise, but something else that was going on at that time. So I started going to the weekly dances first. I started at LindyGroove, and that's where I found out about Lindy Hop. And I was like, oh, this is a cool thing. Like, I never really knew too much about it. It took me quite some time to get a grasp on like the basics. That's one thing I really did appreciate about LindyGroove, was when you go in there, they have a pretty good introductory, beginner lesson.
Yeah.
Right? When you go in, the beginner lesson is in the main hall. Everyone's kind of new. It took me about 6 weeks before I really understood what I was doing in that beginner lesson there. But they also had blues classes. And for me, I wasn't making a lot of money at the time. So for me, in order to go to all of these things that started to pop up, I would volunteer. I was volunteering at the front desk, or I would volunteer for setup or close down, and slowly got my way more involved in all of the dance scene in LA by doing so. You know, when you volunteer, you make a lot of connections, you meet the organizers and stuff, and you start to become friends, you know, like it's just part of the whole thing. Spent a lot of time at LindyGroove, learning, working with the blues dance teachers there. They used to have sometimes like 1 or 2 students in the blues dance class. So I was fortunate, because I was damn near getting one-on-one training, you know, with these teachers and working on stuff in blues. And then everyone from the LA scene slowly started telling me, good shout out to my friend Andy Lee, who was one of the organizers at that time. They were telling me about some of the national blues events that were going on that I was unaware of. I didn't know anything about a national blues dance scene or anything of that nature. And they pushed me after we had our first big event in LA, which was Signifying Blues, I want to say in like 2018, 2018, 2019. I think that was the very first one. I went to that. They had like a small competition, so I kind of got pressured into doing the thing because I grew up thinking like I'm not a big dancer. I don't really dance like that. So dancing in a competition just seemed like something that was out of the question. But they pushed me, so I did it and I had fun. And I was like, okay, this sounds like I had a good time. I enjoyed being at the event and meeting all these people. Let's see what happens. And then that's when they told me about Blues Shout, and that was in Chicago.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was supposed to be like the pinnacle blues event of blues events for the year. Like if you want to do something in the blues scene, that you go to Blues Shout and that's where you make a name for yourself, whatever, you know, like all of that stuff was there. So I said, okay, we're going to try and do this Blues Shout thing and make it happen. And I saved up the money for it. It was my first trip outside of California as an adult by myself. It was like, so it was a big deal for me because I'd never taken a solo trip outside of Cali by myself before, going to do a dance event. And then one of the things that they do for a lot of these dance events, which is very helpful, and I'm thankful that this was something that they offer, but they offer to house you with one of the local dancers, you know, and that helps cut down on the price because, you know, you don't have to buy a hotel room or anything. And the usual thing is you do something really nice for them. You take them to a dinner, or you buy them, you know, some alcohol, something of that nature, a gift, something like that. And I went and I stayed out there, and I remember like my very first night out, I said I didn't want to miss anything because it was my first event. So I made sure I flew in on like Thursday afternoon so I could be there from pre-party all the way until like Monday early afternoon, and then make sure I can do all the things while I was there. Went to the pre-party on Thursday night, met a couple people, was dancing and just having a good time. But at the same time, my work life back at home was in a shift. I had just interviewed for a new company just before I left. And I mean, like the Wednesday before I flew out, or I was leaving on Thursday, that Wednesday before I flew out was when I had my interview. And they told me, hey, you'll know by Friday whether you get the job or not. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm sitting here. It was a big weekend. It was a big weekend. So I'm sitting here and Friday's coming along and it's getting late. It's like 4 or 5 o'clock. I still haven't heard anything yet. Then like 6:30 hits. I still haven't heard anything. So at this point, I'm thinking, damn, I didn't get the job. You know, like it sucks. It is what it is. I get a call maybe at like 6:45 or so, and I didn't recognize the number, but something told me to pick up anyway. So I picked up the phone, and it turned out to be the recruiter. And he starts off and he's like, Jalen, I got great news. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, you got the job. I'm like, what? I got the job. And then that's when it clicked for me. I was in Chicago, so I was on Chicago time and not on PST, so it wasn't even as late as I thought it was when I got that call. And once I got that call, that set me up for that whole weekend. I didn't care about anything else. I was like, I know when I go back, I'm going to have a new job. So my mindset was fresh, clear. I was happy, like things were going well. And that weekend was such an experience. I took the classes that they did, and this is like the first time really being on a weekender, so I wanted to be there. I was at every single lesson that they was offering. And then I got encouraged beforehand to do the competition because they have a beginner comp or a newcomers competition. So I signed up for the newcomers comp as a lead, and I did the classes on Friday, and then Saturday night they do the prelim, I believe it is. So prelims are happening, or Saturday afternoon they do the prelims, and then Saturday night they do the actual thing. So Saturday afternoon they do the prelims. I ended up making it to the finals for the lead competition. I'm like, okay, cool, this is fun. We'll see what happens. Like, I'm not expecting to win or anything like this. I'm here for the ride, you know. My work life is good. We're gonna be good when we go back. I'm chilling. I do the dance that night, I get matched up with Ruth Evelyn, who was actually the same person who I was taking instruction with throughout the weekend. Like, she was the teacher that I was in classes with. And the thing about those classes for me is, like, I grew up with a PE focused background. Like, I played a lot of sports, so it just felt like practice. And I was just, you know, having fun and practicing. At one point we were backpedaling and I was lapping people. I'm like, well, this is normal, you know, like, this doesn't feel anything out of the ordinary. Yeah, and I did that competition right then and there, and I won. I won the newcomer comp as a lead. So the way they do it for Blues Shout, at least at that point in time, they have a lead winner and a follow winner. And how it works is, as a newcomer lead, you dance with a professional follow, and as a newcomer follow, you dance with a professional lead. And, you know, it's like a Jack and Jill or mix and match competition. So whoever you got was random, and I got lucky that I got paired up with Ruth Evelyn. You can find this on YouTube if you search for, you know, 2019 Blues Shout newcomer comp. It's out there if folks want to see it. But I got matched up with her and I won, and I had an amazing time, and that turned out to be the start of something really big in the blues dance scene, and just for me in the dance scene in general. Shortly after that, maybe like a week after I got back, Ruth Evelyn had reached out to me on Facebook, and she was like, hey, you know, like, I was really impressed with your studentship in class, and I would like for you to come out to this event called Blues, sorry, not Blues, it's called the Blues Experiment, which is a week-long dance retreat on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So at first, I was like, this seems kind of sketchy, because I don't know anything about it. I didn't know too much about this when I was looking at it. But basically what happened is they had someone who had, like, dropped out for whatever reason. So they helped me. They were like, yo, no, we would like for you to come. Here's the thing. It's not some scam or anything like that, where everyone's here. We're all together. So I look into it, and I'm having some money problems, because this thing costs like $2,000 to do, and I was like, oh well, I don't have.
It's a week.
It's a week-long retreat. So, and it, like, all inclusive, so all the food is cooked and prepared for you there, stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't have the money for that, and there was no way I was going to be able to afford. I called in all the favors I could. I asked my mom, I asked my dad, I asked my grandma. And grandma was like, I ain't spending $2,000 on blues. And dad's like, I ain't got it. And my mom was like, blues dance? And I was like, yeah, you know, it's kind of random. I'm coming out of nowhere asking for all this money for this. But they were like, no, they would help reimburse me. And they were like, well, if they're going to reimburse you, then they should just, you know, do it and then reimburse themselves. And that's the route that ended up being taken. They sponsored for me. They found a sponsorship for me to go, and they bought my ticket and, like, handled all the financial stuff so that I can go and do this event that I would not have been able to afford otherwise. So I'm really thankful for the foundation that set that up. I think that's the Ujima Foundation. So shout out to Kenneth Ship and all the folks who work on that, because they really helped me and folks like me in my position do things that we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So that was a really fun thing to do. When I went out there, I really got ingrained in the blues scene and all of the people that are out there. You know, you have, so how it works is you basically have like 30 or so people at this house for a week, and you got some of the best national instructors in the world teaching you. And you're working on stuff. So you're creating your own kind of lesson plan. You're like, these are the things you want to work on. They have you put it all on like a sticky note. Everyone's putting their sticky notes on the board, and the people vote on the things.
Like dance heaven.
Exactly. They're like, oh yeah, I really want to work on this. So you got like 5 or 6 people who are like, oh, I want to work more on like connections and things like that. And other people were like, oh, I really want to work on momentum and turns. So you break off into little breakout groups where you work on the thing. You have like an instructor with you working on that stuff. You workshop all of that. And then every night you have a dance. So every night there's a dance. They even, it's all about bettering the future. So building community leaders, DJs, competitive dancers, judges, and just people who want to be more invested in the scene. Like, that's the idea of that event. And if you have the opportunity to go, I think you should. It is definitely like a once in a lifetime type thing, and you build a special connection with those people. I was fortunate that I was able to do that twice through my dance career, and both times with different groups of folks, and very much so much fun and love and energy and everything like good that you can put out into that space. And that is just one of those things there that I really enjoy. But yeah, so that took me to the blues experiment. When I came back from the experiment, I was feeling great. But I also started my new job. So the week my old job ended, that Sunday, I came back from, that Friday is when I left to go to Blues Shout. That next week, when I went to the blues experiment, I came back that following Sunday and started my new job on Monday. So it was like back to back to back on all of that stuff happening. But it was fortunate. It felt like a sign. The week that the blues experiment happened to be the week that I was going to be off. So how could I say no to this opportunity when I already didn't have work going on?
Stars aligned.
Exactly, exactly. It was one of those things where like, yeah, I should do this because it's available and I'm going to try. And then I did. And then I slowly started getting more and more involved in the scene at that point. Like, I was already involved in the LA scene, but then I started building more national scene representation for myself. I went to Seattle because they had Emerald City Blues at the time. And then from there, I went to Washington, D.C. for Take My Hand Slow Drag. And then I was in Philadelphia for Blues Muse. And I did that for a couple of years back to back. And then there was something else that I'm forgetting. Denver. Denver had Mile High Blues, so I went to Denver for Mile High Blues. So at this point, I'm traveling. I'm like going all over the place. I'm leaving LA every few months or so to go to a new dance event and making friends and just going out and dancing and having a good time. And it was great. I was loving it. I was loving being involved in the blues scene, getting out there. And I felt like I was really starting to like slowly make a name for myself. You know, when you're in these scenes and there are competitions and stuff, that's not the first and foremost on how I like to put myself in the scene. It's like, oh, competition dancer, anything like that. But people do start to recognize you and like see you at things and traveling. So that does come with being a competitive dancer in that scene. And as we started to move towards 2020, the very last thing that I ended up doing was Austin Blues Party 13, I believe it was, and that was March of 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So we went to Austin Blues Party. I felt like I was just hitting my stride in the dance scene. I was dancing all the time. I felt really good. They had this competition called the Big Damn Social Competition, and essentially what it is it's a social dance comp, and you're dancing with other dancers there like you normally would socially, and you have like a card or a number, right? And then there's secret judges who will, once they've danced with you, write down what they thought about the dance, right? They had different criteria to judge you on and all that stuff, of course. But you're basically being judged by the peer of dancers that are around. And I ended up winning that competition as the lead, and that was a lot of fun. At that point in time, that meant I would have been like an all-star for the blues dancing stuff that would have put me in there competitive upper echelon or something, and I was like, okay, well, let's see what this is about. And then all that stuff got scrapped because right after we got back, boom, everyone got sick, pandemic hit, shit got crazy. Like I think we went out one time after that to Joe's on like a Wednesday night right after we got back. That's when the NBA got shut down. I was like, when I saw the NBA get shut down, that's when it was real for me. I was like, oh, it was already real, but watching this live unfold and them saying like, we're gonna cancel these games, all of this, I was like, oh, this is a big deal. Things are about to change, and they did. Started working from home as a quality assurance analyst. That was unheard of at that point in time. Like, there was no way QA was working from home. They sent us home, and we worked from home for the next 5 years, which is crazy. You know, a lot of things changed. A lot of life has happened. A lot of life has changed in that time frame. And same with the dance scene, right? Like, I think there was a solid year and a half or so where unless you were already in a pod of people who, you know, you were quarantining with that would dance, people weren't dancing at all. And it slowly started to come back. I remember when LindyGroove was doing like 1/3 capacity, mask only, very few people. And I was fortunate that at that point in time, I had like built a rep up where I was started to teach at LindyGroove out here. But the other thing that was a big change for me was my teachers, who I was, you know, getting all the information from and learning off of them. They're instructors at UCI, I believe it is, UC Irvine. And so they're instructors out there, and they had a child, or they were about to have a child. So they stopped showing up and like stopped teaching altogether. They were making a long drive every Thursday to come out to Pasadena and do all of this. So I understood, and I taught for over a year, pretty much weekly, straight at LindyGroove. Every week I was there dedicated to getting people, you know, to have one, my thing with teaching, I want them to have fun, but I also wanted them to get better. And I know not everyone cares to get better, but like if you're doing the thing and you're showing up to the class, you should want to get a little better. In my head, that's how I think about it. Yeah, and it just took a toll, you know. When you do something like that for a year, you have various amounts of folks who show up and are committed to the thing. It took a toll, and it started to become more of a job and less of a me giving back to folks for the dance scene, and I needed to take a break. So I ended up taking a break from the teaching aspect, at least on a weekly basis. I'd still come in and fill in on occasion, but just on a weekly, it was a lot. It was a lot to do, and a lot of the people that I started the dance with had all left for various reasons. You know, I talked about my friend Andy Lee at the time. He was a main organizer for Blues Liberation Front, and you know, they had their last dance shortly before the pandemic. Do Something Blue was kind of struggling at that time, so they were like, hey, we're going to probably move to a quarterly dance or something of that nature, and then the pandemic hit, and it was like, well, we're just going to cancel it. So we didn't have any blues monthlies going on anymore. We just had LindyGroove and then impromptu blues dances at a bar or something like that, which is still fun. Like I enjoy those things, but we didn't have that structured event that we used to get folks out and dancing. And I think that's when fusion started to take over a bit more in the LA, at least for me, in the LA scene. I felt like more fusion dances started to pop up. Tiny Dancers was one for that time. That was Jeannie and Ian. Rest in peace, Ian. Yeah. It's been a lot. It's been a lot going on in the dance scene.
That's the best and longest and most thorough first answer to first question I've ever had, so thank you for that.
I just be talking sometimes, so if you want to rate me in,
this is great.
Okay.
I want to rewind all the way back to the first thought you mentioned. What was in your head? What were you thinking when you first went to Joe's and heard the music? What did that do to you?
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so when I first went to Joe's, like I said, the big thing I noticed was it was a very white place. So I didn't really know if I was going to fit in. You know, growing up as a black male, you're always on the edge when you're in a spot like that. I was thankful that I found people who were really comforting and really nice, that I was able to kind of settle in and feel good about being in that spot. Joe's has a dance floor that it's like a small / medium dance floor. It's enough space for people to get out and dance, but it's not a huge dance floor. But they used to have live music, and that's what made Joe special, was the live music there. You were dancing to something live. And during this class, for when we first started for blues, we did like a 30-minute intro lesson before they had like a blues jam, and then the jam would happen, and then we're dancing to the music, and we're like trying to get all of the stuff that we learned in class and incorporate that into the dance that we're having. But the other thing too was just to have fun. I think that was the thing that brought me into dance the most, was how much fun I was having sharing space with other people. And then also maybe a little touch starved, you know, like didn't think about that too much at that time, but like you touch people a lot when you dance, and I think that was a big part of like, I felt good about this level of touch with other folks, and it felt like a good thing to be out and just do. Yeah,
that makes sense. what's the difference between dancing to live music versus dancing to recorded music? Is there a difference at all, or?
There is a difference. There is a difference. I think for me, the biggest difference I've seen dancing to live music as opposed to things that are just played via Spotify or whatever, just recorded, the connection. The connection with the group of people that is playing. And maybe not too many people pay attention to that. I feel like there are a lot of dancers, if you've been around in the scene, you'll see them build that connection there with the music organizers, whatever, you're right, the people who are performing the music. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is having that level of connection with them, being able to riff and vibe off of what they're doing. There's just something about it. Something about it that's like human nature, you know, kind of very much like the movie Sinners. Like and I know this is a recorded music when you're in that movie, but there was the part where they go through their whole dance journey, and just like the way that music hit during that movie, it felt like very similar to the way that the music would hit if you're listening to it live. You know, and it just, there's something about it that's different, and you can tell, and being able to dance and just be there in the moment with these people. I think what it is community. The community aspect is there in a way that it's not when it's just recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you listen and you dance to live music, the music kind of like hits your spine.
Exactly. Exactly.
Versus recorded music, it can, but it goes to your ears, maybe your brain, and maybe stays up here. But live music, maybe because of the vibrations, or just the audio quality is probably better because there's a professional setting
Mixer.
up the audio and mixing it, and the various levels of tracks and instruments. It's just a full body experience.
I love it. 100%.
And it's awesome dancing live music. And blues is a dance style that has a lot of places that have venues that allow live music.
I mean, you like call and response, things like that. Like, you won't get that without live music, and that's just something that really grounds you into those dance scenes when you're out there. So I love when you go to an event and they're like, hey, we're gonna have live music, even if it's only for a night, because you know, like, it's gonna be good. And they usually go all out, and they bring people in, and the musicians love dancers and the dancers love musicians. It's like a love relationship.
Yeah, you're dancing to music that's played by people.
Yeah.
And they're playing for you.
Exactly.
So you obviously want to respect, embrace, but also, how do you show your appreciation? You dance your butt off.
You dance your ass off. You also throw them a few dollars. You know what I'm saying? That's another way to show that appreciation. When that tip jar come around, you make sure you put about $5-10 in there. You know
and it's different than dancing at a studio.
Yeah, 100%.
Where 100%. There's a DJ, but it's not a live person necessarily creating all the instrumentation or singing. So it's how most people experience partner dancing, but it's a joy and very beautiful to dance to live music when you can.
Agreed. I love dancing to live music. It's one of those things where even now, like, I could see myself going to a bar just to sit back and listen if I know there's going to be live music, and maybe find a random person to dance with. You know, like, that is a thing that happens. So yeah, I'm right
Talk
there.
about the dancing at a bar experience versus the studio experience. Like, is there a different mindset? There's different type of people, because there's people there who are there not to dance, versus at a studio, you are there to dance.
Yes. So I think that is a great thing. When you are at a bar, for me, what has happened a lot, right, is we usually bring a group of dancers to the bar. And maybe not a big group. It could be like 4, 5, 6 people at most or something. You know, that'll be fine. But you usually bring a couple of dancers with you to the bar. And what happens is, when you guys get up and start dancing, folks' eyes tend to gravitate towards cool shit that could be happening on the dance floor, and they get invested. You know, they start looking, and like, oh, that was so cool. And I have had plenty of times where I've danced with someone like Danita or other folks, and then I go sit down, and someone will come up to me.
You're a celebrity.
It does kind of feel like that. Someone will come up to me and be like, hey, would you like to dance? Or I'll go up to someone and say, hey, like, would you like to, and they'll be like, yeah, and they're like, oh, but I don't really know how to dance before. And this is where it helps for me, because I'd be like, I was a teacher once, so that so I can play the teacher card.
Yeah.
But it's usually just a lot of fun. People get out of their shell, become a little bit more grounded in the environment and with themselves, and just being humans with other folks, you know? Dance is something that I think every culture, every aspect of human nature, people can relate to. Everyone has some form of dance in their life.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things that can connect us all.
Yeah, everyone was meant to dance.
Yeah, agreed.
A lot of modern society programming or distractions or social pressures to look good or look the best prevent us from trying to dance.
Yeah, that's true.
And people don't want to do something because if they can't be the best at it, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, or they might feel embarrassed to put themselves out there in that situation. So I understand that.
Or look bad at doing something.
Exactly.
When we all are bad at something at some point in our lives.
Yeah, and you got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere.
Right, like that's the other thing. Like especially when it comes to dancing friends who have been around and they aren't feeling great about their dance, and like, you got to start somewhere. Yeah, everyone starts somewhere. And for me, that's why even when I was teaching, I know I talked about this earlier, but the number one thing that I would like to get from, and one thing I want to advocate all teachers in dance to do, because I do not see it enough, do not forget that dance is supposed to be fun. Everyone goes in on mechanics and all of this. All of that's cool and nice. If they ain't having fun, they're not going to do it. It should be fun first. All of this should be fun-led movement. Then you get into the technical side. You know, like that's when okay, boom, we work on this, whatever. But without the fun, then people aren't going to be there. I want to see people smile when they're having a good time and dancing. And I don't see that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one thing I definitely want to see change.
Yeah, especially when you're dancing in a bar.
Yeah.
The number one goal is fun.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why we're here. We're just having a good time.
Perfect technique.
No.
You're not there to show off.
No, hell no.
You're dancing with sometimes strangers who don't have any quote-unquote skills.
Exactly.
But the goal, number one, is to have fun.
Have a good time. That's why we're doing this. We're doing this because it brings joy to us, releases that dopamine hit, you know, like all of that. That is a big reason of why I'm like, I just want to see people have more fun when they get out there and dance.
So the moral of this section is, if you have dance skills and you go to a bar, instant celebrity. Superpowers.
No, don't tell anyone I told you that.
And I also want to rewind to your acting background.
Yeah.
Do you notice similarities between dancing and acting?
Ooh. Yes and no. So what I'll say in between like similarities, it mainly comes down to the community. I feel like a lot of the folks who would be in the acting background, at least at that time for me, were coming from like a theater major or something like that, where they encompass themselves around all the arts. So dancing, singing, just like the act of performing, all of that would come with them. Even when I was acting, I wasn't very comfortable with my singing or dancing aspect. It was really just like, you know, embodying myself in a character, finding that body of work and going into that. But when you move into the dance scene itself and seeing what the community is like there, but then also comparing that to what you're seeing with these, you know, folks who were acting, there's a lot of crossover. There's like a Venn diagram, right? Like the person who I thought was taking me out on a date, you know, or we were going on a date, was an actor, right? And I was like, okay, you're involved in this dance scene, and I see quite a few other people who would be involved in this dance scene. And it's something that I think either or, like which way, either you are a dancer or an actor, I think you can kind of go both ways. I think people who dance can very well like be in a performance acting type vibe, and people who act can very well take those same like things that they've learned and apply that to dance as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is prime Jalen same person as dancing Jalen? Or are they separate? Is Jalen playing a character, a dancer or a teacher? Or is prime Prime Jalen, also Dancer Jalen.
Prime Jalen is also Dancer Jalen. And then when it came to the teacher training, like all the teacher stuff, I feel very confident about teaching people things because I grew up with my dad being a coach.
Okay.
So I've been around folks being taught things their whole life. So like I really understand how
to you.
Yeah, like that part is easy for me. I don't have a problem with teaching. My thoughts about when I first started teaching in dance and blues in general was I didn't think I was good enough to start teaching folks. That was my big thing. I was like, I don't feel like I know enough stuff to be like, hey, this is how you guys should be doing it. So it wasn't that like I didn't think I could do it. It was more just I didn't feel like I was ready. And that wasn't the case, you know, like I learned as I got in there that I did have things to show people and I did bring value to these places and could help them learn. And while there were still more things for me to learn as well, it was still beneficial to get out there. It also helps with your foundation, as a dancer yourself, right? So when you're teaching, you tend to do a lot of more beginner lessons or starter things because people can come in and out at that time. So it really pushed and just like incorporated all of the foundational level dance skills that you need. You know, like when you go over blues posture over and over and over again, eventually you're going to get that blues posture down. You know, like you're going to have that blues posture in your body. So just things like that that popped up and kept going. Yeah.
You gave a nice overview of your dance journey. Has Dancing Jalen affected Prime Jalen in any way? How has dancing affect your life outside of dance?
Wow. Dancing has affected my life a lot outside of dance. So dance actually like opened my eyes in regards to relationships styles and types and things that are available to us. So diving a little bit into this, I feel like we've all been kind of programmed to believe that the only relationship type is a monogamous relationship growing up. That's what we see on TV. That's what we see in movies. That's what, you know, most families and folks who have someone to look up to in that relationship model have something that they see. Oh, you get married, you have kids, that's it. You know, like that's the life, that's the goal. But we're seeing now, even statistics are showing that 50 or 60% plus marriages are ending in divorce. And I asked myself, like, what's going on? Are people not getting their needs met? And that's what led me to finding out about polyamorous relationships or non-monogamous relationships, right? So leading in a relationship that is intentional with not being with just one person. For whatever reasons that you guys may see, you know, because that's going to change person to person, but understanding that that can be an okay relationship type and that people would be on board with that and something that they would like to do with themselves and other folks as well. And that's something that I never would have known or really thought about or really gave to been mindful of had I not been a part of the dance scene. It was very encouraging and eye-opening to kind of see like, okay, there are other ways to approach this that are healthier. And not everything is healthy, right? You can have an unhealthy non-monogamous relationship just like you can have an unhealthy monogamous relationship. But I think some of the values that I really find foundational and like stand for in relationships, I found myself wanting to explore more non-monogamy because I found myself connecting more with those values than I did in just a traditional monogamous relationship.
Yeah, it's interesting where a dance social, say the social's 3 hours long, there's 60 songs, right? You have many conversations or relationships with 30 people or so.
100%.
Which is not necessarily mirrored outside of
True, outside of the dance. That's what I would tell people with blues dancing, right? I'd be like, this is a 3-minute relationship. You know, like that's what this is. For the next 3 minutes, you guys are a couple, figure out, you know, of course, respect each other's boundaries. Don't be weird. Don't be a creep. All of those things apply. But outside of that, you guys are a couple. Let's figure this out to do something that feels good for both of you.
Yeah, and relationships can be like mother, father,
Yes,
friend, neighbor, teacher. There's relationships of all types.
Yep,
It's
agreed.
just two people communicating, trying to find similar wavelength, and
A
figuring
happy
out,
medium between the two.
and figuring out a way to have fun.
Yes,
Right?
that's what it comes back down to. You know, are you having fun? Did either of you smile during this thing? This shouldn't feel like torture.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I don't want people being out there dancing and they're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm scared to move my body. Like, no, move your body freely. Don't
Yeah,
hurt
yeah,
anyone,
yeah.
but like have a good time.
And like any relationships, sometimes people aren't compatible.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are.
Yeah.
And throughout a
100%.
dance event, you'll meet people of all types where there's some dancers who you gel with right away.
Yeah.
And there's some where like, oh, we don't gel at all.
Yep.
But you dance with them more. And
Yep.
eventually, oh.
And then you're like, oh,
we eventually gel in this other specific way. So it's very fascinating where it teaches you a lot about yourself.
Yes.
About how you interpret relationships, how you communicate, and how you see people.
Yeah. Never judge a book by its cover, especially in the dance scene. And one thing I would always encourage more experienced or dancers who have been around for a while to do is to dance with new people. Dance can get very cliquey. And
Yeah.
you can see that at social events, and especially when you travel and stuff. And I know that folks don't mean for it to be like that, but it's very easy to see like, oh, these folks only really interact with these folks over here. These folks only really interact with these folks over here. And it can make folks feel like other people feel like outsiders. And you don't want that. You want to build a place where everyone could come in and feel good together, and everyone should feel good to interact with each other, and not feel like they're breaking up a clique or a crew or whatever. So encourage people to get out and meet new people and dance with folks as well. And if you're not dancing with newer folks because you have like a body reason or something, then that makes perfect sense. I understand that. But for the folks other than that, get out and dance with new people. Invite them in to become part of the scene with you. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some dancers who only want to dance with their friends or the people who they gel with the best, which is fine.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But hopefully there's enough dancers in the scene that dance with everybody.
That's the idea, right? Like, I'm thankful that when I started, people wanted to dance with me. Not everyone wants to dance with a new lead who doesn't really know things and whatnot. So I want to extend that same courtesy and grace to other folks as well, because you never really know. And then sometimes you run into a new dancer or someone who hasn't been dancing, you know, very long, and they're amazing. You're like, wow, this was so much fun. Like, this is cool, and that can happen more often than you think. You know, like, like I said, don't judge a book by its cover. Get out there, dance with new folks. Dancing is about community and fun and, you know, all those things. So make that be the value. Yeah.
And do you lead or follow, or you do both?
I mainly lead. I was learning how to follow when I was like taking dance a little more serious. I would follow for fun now, but I don't think that I'd be very good. So I could say I do both, but I mainly lead towards leading. Yeah.
And the qualities of being a leader, right, is you're initiating.
Yeah.
You have ideas.
Yeah.
Your goal is to communicate your ideas to somebody else.
Yep.
Those are very powerful qualities to have.
Absolutely. And for blues, you know, one of the things that makes it a little easier for leads, and one of the things that we would teach a lot of people is like, all we're really doing for leads and blues dancing, direction and momentum are the two biggest things. The ideas, they come for both dancers. And I think that was a lot of things, that was a big thing that we tried to push in blues dancing is like, look, this is a 50-50 dance. And a lot of people don't treat other dances like, I'm not sure about other dances, so I can't speak on them like that. But specifically for blues, the follow gives just as much to the dance as the lead does. And that's what we really want to encourage. And it makes something completely unique and so much fun and so much like better for both dancers when that is happening. So that's really what the goal that we were pushing people towards is. It's not just a lead focused thing. The lead has clear direction and momentum. Absolutely, they'll be in control of that. But everything else, this should be a negotiation.
Yeah.
This is a us thing.
In blues specifically, you're not, the leader's not dominating the conversation.
No.
They're initiating, they're starting the sentence, and the followers add to the sentence.
Exactly. And that's why, you'll see some, we used to teach in blues when we would do like a walkthrough, right? So you raise this left arm and the follow's arm will be here as well. And then they'll come through and we have them like, okay, do this at normal speed, do it at half speed. Now do it as slow as humanly possible, and then they'll do it that slow and they do it and they come around and they're like, that actually wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Like I thought I would feel weird about doing that. And it's like, no, because you were adding to this conversation. This isn't just a me thing. So this is very much an us figuring this out and making this dance together thing. Yeah,
that makes sense. What are your dance goals at the moment? What is dance doing for you now?
Ooh, my dance goals at the moment. I think that's a little tough for me. As you know, I haven't been around as much in the scene in the last year in regards to going out and dancing. So I think for me, the biggest thing is, one, getting back out there, but two, finding a love for dance in the way that I did when I first started again. And I know a part of that was the community members and community that I have built, and I know that a lot of that has changed, but I can build it again. The other thing is dancing to music that really calls me to dance. And we've, talked about this a little off camera, but just sometimes in the scene, you'll run into music or songs or things that don't really call for me to dance in the way that I want it to. So I started to move towards DJing more so that I could provide some of those examples of things that this is stuff that I really like dancing to. The music that I grew up with, the music that I hear on the radio and stuff. I mean, if my perfect idea of a dance world is a club-like environment, but with partner dancers, that would be so much fun for me. And just go from there. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really have any strict goals about the scene. Mainly just staying around, being able to go out and DJ and give back to folks in that way. But also just dancing some more because I haven't done it as much recently.
Yeah, the beauty of partner dancing is it's not a race. It'll be there for you whenever you need it.
Whenever you want to come back, you're always welcome back in the dance scene. And that was one of the things they used to say all the time when I first started, and I didn't truly get it at that time because I was locked in, but I understand it now. The scene's not going anywhere. There will always be dancers, there will always be people that want to dance and get out there and do that, so you will feel comfortable coming back no matter what.
And the beauty of dance as well is eventually as the more you dance and the more you're dancing in the scene, you can become a DJ where you get to curate the music that's presented to the dancers. So
absolutely.
DJing specifically, how has that affected you? How does it fill your cup?
Ooh. Okay, so I'll tell you how I got started DJing, because I didn't want to DJ at first. I was very much in the, I'm not doing that, I'm cool.
Why?
I knew that the music that I listened to wasn't what was being played so much at these events. So I just didn't think that people would want
outside the box.
Exactly. That I didn't think that people would really want to dance to that, but also because I kind of grew up thinking I had two left feet and, that my music taste wasn't as interesting as other folks. So I was just like, it's not really something I'm super interested in. But LindyGroove kept pushing and they were like, hey, we really need a DJ for this blues dance stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And then eventually I was like, fine, I'll do it, but I'm going to play what I want. And they were like, do it.
So you gave me the keys to the kingdom.
They pretty much gave me the keys to the kingdom. And I went in there and I started DJing for LindyGroove on Thursday nights in the Blues Room, and they loved it. Like, people would come out and dance, and sometimes I would steal like half the Lindy Groovers over to come to the blues room and just start dancing to some, especially like late in the night when it was just about time to start warming up, packing up. That's when I play some of the non-blues, deeper cuts, whatever, you know, just some Bruno Mars or Michael Jackson, stuff like that. And you get folks in the room and they come in dancing, and there's just something about it. Something about being able to curate a room like that, and have everyone just so on board for what's going on. And that's happened to me a couple of times now. My first like traveling DJ event was a couple of years ago for New Year's. Champagne and Sunshine.
Yeah.
I swear.
Yeah,
it was Sunshine, right? Okay. In the Bay. Champagne in the Bay. They had me out there for DJing, and I remember I had like the side room on maybe the first or second night, and that side room was so packed. The whole dance floor was filled with dancers. They had like a little, kind of like a seat like this, like all the way around. That whole thing had dancers on it, and the other side had dancers on it. I had never seen a room so packed with just the music that I was playing, and I was playing a lot of R&B, soul, like soul type things. It's like a bedroom playlist type of it, you know, like that's the type of vibe that I build with my stuff, and people was loving it. And I just, man, you know, I could see it in my eyes now. Like I could see that, the vision of that room and all those people in there, and I don't think I'll ever feel anything as close or similar to something like that. Like, you can only really get an experience like that when you are DJing and curating a room. And not everything's a hit too. Like, I've had times where you go in and you play some stuff and it just doesn't hit as well as you want it to, and you're like, you know, take that one on the chin and live and learn with what you can. You're not going to win everything, and when it comes to DJing, put my heart into the playlist that I was making, because I just wanted to curate the next hour, 30 minutes, however long that set was of the night.
Do you have a philosophy on curation? Any tips for people who want to be a DJ?
That is interesting. How I go about my, I would spend a lot of time listening to the intro and outro of the songs that I'm selecting.
Those are important.
Yeah, I don't know how many people do this, but I know that that was the thing that I spent a ton of time on. And a lot of people are getting more technical now, which I think is great, right? They're looking at BPMs and things of that nature. I wasn't doing that. I just off feel. I'm just like, okay, I'm looking, I like how this sound's coming in. I like how this transitions into this. And now that I've got that down and I feel like this song going into this is good already, I'll start going to the next song. So how does this come in? Okay, I like how this goes into this. And then I did that for pretty much, like, the sets would be anywhere from the hour to like hour and 30-minute range. So you don't always have too many songs to work with if you're DJing like I was, right? Which is, I'm not mixing, I'm not like live mixing, so I'm not cutting a song 30 seconds early to jump into a new one. I just have kind of like a set list that I've pre-recorded for folks with a few additional songs that I can throw in depending on the vibe of the room. So using that, my own little thing. I smoke a little weed, and then I'm like, all right, I'll listen to my music, and I'm like, how's this sound? This sound good. How's this sound? This sound good. Okay, then once I've done that throughout my whole little playlist, I'll listen to it a couple more times, and I'm like, all right, I feel good about this, or I feel like I need to make changes at X, Y, and Z point, and then I'll just play with it, and you give yourself time. Don't wait till the last minute to work on a DJ thing. Like, start thinking of something now. If you got like 5 or 6 songs that you're like, oh, I really like these are things I want to dance with, that could be your starting point. Use those there. Think about, like, okay, what type of vibe do I want the room to have while I'm out here dancing? Like, is this too many high tempo songs back to back to back? Will they need a break? Do they need to just chill for a moment? Like, envision what you want in the room while you're listening to the music. And thinking, like, what will this room look like when this happens? But don't be afraid to try stuff out too. It's okay to make mistakes. It's not the end of the world if people take a break for a song. Like, people need to get water and go do stuff too. That's fine.
Yeah, I love all that. My philosophy is part one, find great songs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
songs to dance to, but also songs that you love.
Yes.
But part two of that is the order, like you mentioned. Does this song fit with that song?
Yep.
Does the transition work?
Yep.
Is it too high of a BPM for too long?
Yep.
The order matters probably even more than the songs.
Agreed. I agree.
Because a bad order will ruin the vibe.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. You play something, you're like, I don't know about that one, but, you know, and you'll look and you're like, all right, well, now you have something that you can learn from when you go forward into your next event or your next opportunity to get out there and DJ. So yeah, those are the key things that I've like messed with DJing, and I've tried to do a little bit of mixing. The last thing I did when I went to the Bay Area, I was out there last year for an event. And I DJ'd a bit, and I did play with like a mixer, and I had a little bit of live mixing experience from doing that, and that was fun. Like being able to go in and just like, I wasn't doing anything crazy, like a fade in, fade out, you know, maybe a little audio distortion at the end. This is stuff like that. But it was really cool to craft that moment, and just to see people get out there and dance and really like be encouraged by the music and just gravitate towards it. It's one of those things like you'll know it when you see it. You know, when you're out there and you're DJing and you're playing some good stuff and you see all those people on the dance floor, it'll hit you.
Yeah.
You'll be like, yeah, I'm doing a great job right now. You know, like I feel confident in what I'm playing. Everyone is dancing, they're having a good time. Then you go from there.
Yeah, it's a super satisfying feeling.
Yes, it is.
When you play a song and everyone is just in the moment, dancing with each other, not a lot of talking. People are in this dance escape, this alternate reality.
They're going crazy. You know, you play something and everyone's singing along to it or something like that too, some Michael Jackson or whatever, you know. And I've been really fortunate. Like I got to do an event last year that I was really, really happy about. It was called The Cookout. It was run by Damon and Kelsey Stone. They were the main organizers, and this was in Atlanta. And it was a New Year's event, and they asked me to come out and DJ for the event. And not only that, but they let me have the midnight set for New Year's, which to me, that's such a big deal.
Oh, that's after the ball drop.
Yes.
That's when everyone is there. That's not pressure.
That is the set. And I killed it, you know? Like, I had an amazing time. We had a lot of new music at that time. Tyler, the Creator, Sticky was just pretty new. All the new Kendrick Lamar stuff had dropped. So I had plenty of songs to work with, and everyone was on the dance floor and having an amazing time. Had some Michael Jackson. I had, like... When you are a DJ and you see a dance circle form, that's one of the best feelings.
What's a dance circle for those?
Ooh, okay. So dance circle, so usually something that happens organically when you're at a dance event. Basically, when people are feeling the music, you got one or two people who are out there and they're cutting up. So they're going crazy. They're doing whatever they want to do, all these little moves, and kind of like a fight, right? So what happens is you'll see, like in a fight, what happens? A lot of people will crowd around and they start watching. It's the same idea, but we're dancing. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So everyone start crowding around, they start watching, and you got the people in the middle and they doing their thing. And then what happens in the fun dance circles is the people in the middle will look around, they're like, oh, I'm in a little circle, they'll do the little move, and then boom, they move to the side. Someone else comes in, they do their little thing, so they're getting down and everybody cheering and going crazy and whatnot. It's such a fun experience for to be around that and just to see that happen organically. And when we've had classes, it's I would say a dance circle is probably something that's a part of Black culture. I can't say that for sure, but like I feel like growing up, I've seen that a lot at family reunions or things like that. When you got a big get together, like that is something that will happen. So trying to get people to be a part of that and like really like, no, this is just part of dance culture. It's not just us. This is something that we want everyone to do. We want people to be cheering folks on. And same for folks who are at competitions and stuff. Please cheer people on. People don't cheer enough at competitions. Y'all should be going crazy at these competitions, okay? Like, it's too quiet sometimes for my liking at these things.
Yeah.
People shouldn't have to tell you to cheer for what you're seeing up there. You should feel it. You should feel what's going on and want to share that excitement and joy with them.
Yeah, as an audience member, giving your reception back,
Yes.
giving your energy back to the performers or to the DJ
100%.
is very, very important. 'Cause they can
100%.
feel that. And like you mentioned, a dance circle, hopefully the best ones are organic. They're not planned like,
exactly.
oh, it's 1 a.m. we got to do it.
Exactly.
The best ones are organic where
it just
the
pops
DJ's
up.
playing the music, the best song of the night. People are dancing, and then people are watching a specific couple dance, and then it just
turns into a whole
river,
thing.
it just
That's
flows with energy, and people are watching, and people are cheering each other on. Because it doesn't work if the audience around the circle isn't cheering them on.
Yep. Agreed.
So it's the ultimate celebration of dance and the fun, like we mentioned, and it's the joy of being alive.
I loved it. That was such a fun, wonderful experience. I ended up having to come back early because I caught COVID, but outside of that, that was the best.
As we wrap up, do you have any advice for those new on their dance journey who are just starting, and what can you tell them to like keep them going?
For those that are new on the dance journey, I think, and it's something that we've talked about quite a few times already, right? Remember to keep it fun. If you're not having a good time, you're going to be less inclined to go out and explore and do these new dance things. But also don't forget to try and learn, you know, like take some time and try a new dance. Go to a new class that you saw. If you never tried salsa or something, you don't know what you're going to stick with until you get out there and try it. So when it comes to dance styles and dance things, if you have any interests at all, don't be afraid to just go out and try and do the thing. There's usually classes local to you that you can go and look up, but also don't be afraid to try it online. Look up stuff on YouTube and just do a little dance in your house, play some songs or something that you found online, and just try it out. But I think the number one thing is have fun. Try and build some community while you're there. Make some friends. There are reasons to go back. There are reasons to dance outside of those normal dance structure things. But yeah, I think those are the main ones.
All great advice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully everyone in the world can dance eventually.
I hope so. It's one of the things that most people, almost everyone can do. So, hell yeah.
And skill level doesn't matter.
No.
It's about having fun.
It's about having fun. Agreed.
Well, Jalen, thank you for your time.
Of course. Thank you, Jason. This was amazing. I'm thankful again that you had me on here, and thank you to everyone who's watching.
Yeah. Thank you for watching this episode of Dance Brain, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Deuces.